You're listening to the Archaeology Podcast Network.
Welcome to Screens of the Stone Age, the podcast where scientists review movies about prehistoric people. I'm Dr. Joshua Lindell. I'm a paleoanthropologist studying Neanderthals, and I'm here with...
I'm Dr. Kimberly Plomp. I'm a bioarchaeologist. I study the human skeleton, health and disease and evolution.
And I'm Dr. Ross Barnett, a paleontologist interested in ancient DNA and Pleistocene mammals.
And today we're reviewing Boonie Bears Blast into the Past. Have either of you ever heard of the Boonie Bears franchise before?
Nope.
No.
Apparently this is the biggest children's franchise in China. Did you look into it at all?
No, but I saw that there was a ton of them on YouTube. Ton of movies and there's TV shows and yeah.
I mean, this is not the only time travel Boonie Bears film, I think. There's other ones too.
Well, from what I understand, this started as a TV series in 2011 and it's still ongoing. So there's like almost 900 episodes of the TV show.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
And 2 made-for-TV movies and 10 feature films, of which this is the 6th from 2019.
Oh my God.
Wow.
The 10 feature films have grossed over $1 billion at the box office. $1 billion American dollars.
And it's terrible.
Yeah, everything's so cute. They probably have like stuffies and toys and everything sold, right?
The animation looks great. Well,
yes.
the assets, the 3D modeling, everything looks great. The actual movement is a little clunky at times, but looks
and they also
pretty good.
Completely ripped off Ice Age and Shrek. They took like Ice Age and Shrek and put them together.
Yeah. There was not an original thought in the whole film.
Who wants to summarize this movie for us?
I can do it.
Ross should, because he knows all the animal names.
You did the last one as well, Kim, so I'm happy to do this one. So it opens up just like Ice Age, as Kim said. This is the first kind of clue that this is going to be slightly derivative. It opens on a kind of plain of pigs and mammoths and Archaeopteryx, I think. Some kind of toothed bird that flies to the sky. And Smilodon, and what's my writing say there? I can't even read.
Megaloceros, maybe?
Yes, Irish elk. That's exactly what it says. Well done, Josh, for reading my handwriting without even seeing it. And the pig is chasing a flower, just like Littlefoot chases the tree star in The Land Before Time.
Yes, yeah.
So another derivation there. And the little pig runs into 2 bears and 1 guy who are hiding inside a tree trunk. And already this movie annoys me by the guy whose name is Vic talking about how there's saber-toothed tigers everywhere. And that grinds my gears. And then it for no reason it sort of says 1 hour ago. So this is like nothing happens except a little pig chases a flower and bumps into some guys hiding in a tree, but they have to then rewind back an hour and they find Vic and Bramble and Briar, who are the 2 bears. It's never explained in this film. Presumably the fan base is so huge in China that everyone understands why Bramble and Briar walk upright and speak human language and have jobs.
I think it's just cartoon world, isn't it?
Okay. But only some of the animals speak. So like the pig doesn't speak, but bears can speak. Anyway, so 1 hour ago, they're now back in the present day. They're kind of acting as tour guides around a painted cave, which has cave art. The cave art has mammoths and stuff, but it also has cavemen on bikes. It has specific kinds of Asian cookware on display that they show quite clearly. And
modern
understandably,
cookware.
Yeah. So they're told that these pictures are 30,000 years old, but the tourists are skeptical, and so they kind of leave, and so Vic and Bramble and Briar are left to sort of tidy up, and then Bramble, who is the stupider of the 2 bears, I think that's fair to say. He's the more kind of clumsy, the more comic relief of the two bears. He's told like not to touch anything, but he sees like a ghost butterfly inside the cave. I wasn't sure whether these are supposed to be real butterflies that are see-through and slightly magical, or are they ghost butterflies, or are they spirit butterflies? I'm not sure. Anyway, he sees one, follows it, it goes through the wall, and that obviously leads to a time tunnel portal, which Bramble can't help but touch, which then sends all of them back through time, and they're in the cave, but it's all different. All their stuff has disappeared. They look outside, everything is different. They spot, or Vic spots some rubies, like some enormous rubies. So he decides to leave the cave and go and see those. They're enormous, but they're actually just tortoises covered in rubies. I guess that makes sense somehow. And then the tortoises can run really fast. They kind of run a long distance away from the cave with Bramble and Vic and Briar on their backs and bump into a whole herd of rhinos, and then they get sort of chucked into this tree trunk, and so that brings you back to the beginning. Now they're in the past, in a tree trunk, being annoying to a tiny pig. And then it basically just kind of goes from there. Nothing really happens. They just get into all sorts of supposedly comical scrapes. They meet a terror bird of some kind, except it can fly. It has a giant nest. It nests on the top of a tree on the top of a cliff. They get knocked off the cliff. They land in a bamboo forest. They get split up. Briar meets a little wolf cub called Fei, who tells Briar that she wants to find some courage fruit. And this bit sort of seemed like a rip-off of Brother Bear. You've got an annoying character that sort of gloms onto a sentient bear.
See, I thought this was like Shrek with Donkey and Shrek.
Yeah,
right?
that too,
Like the little annoying guy needs the big scary guy to help.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's another character, Fei. At the same time, Bramble and Vic, who've been separated from Briar, they get chased by cave people. The cave people are stupid. They can speak, I think. We don't get caveman grunts. They have language and culture. Vic immediately falls in love with the cave woman, who is the most competent of them all, and gets beaten up by her. There's a giant panda in the bamboo forest that Briar meets. There's also tiny pandas that annoy him and try and stop him from finding Bramble and Vic. While Vic and Bramble are in the human village, they get attacked by some kind of indeterminate bovid, sort of a little bit bisonish, a little bit aurochs, a little bit yak. And at this point, Vic accidentally manages to kind of beat them all up, and so the cave woman falls in love with him. We meet some wolves who were planning on attacking the village, but didn't because of all the aurochs. We discover a bit more about Fei-Fei's backstory. So she's a vegetarian wolf. She catches things but doesn't want to eat them. How she hasn't starved to death, that's not really explained. We meet some other wolf cubs who can basically pick on her and tell her that she's rubbish and that she'll never be brave, etc., etc. We have some more kind of skirmishes. The wolves are chasing one of the cave people kids. It gets sort of rescued a little bit by Fei-Fei. There's the king of the wolves who hates Fei-Fei and calls her a traitor. Blah, blah, blah. There's a dance number. The cave girl keeps trying to get with Vic. They introduce chopsticks and kitchenware to the cave people. We get all sorts of what are supposed to be poignant backstories. So we find out that the little cave kid who was being chased by wolves, his dad was killed by a wolf, but that never goes anywhere. We also discover that Fei-Fei's brother was killed because of her. I mean, it's heavy stuff. It's supposed to have real emotional heft, but you just think, no. Fei-Fei and Briar are kind of still looking for this courage fruit, and so they eventually get there. You know, after it takes them the whole film, they kind of arrive there in 2 seconds. They find the terror bird still there. It's got a nest, but there's no courage fruit. there's all sorts of kind of big flashbacks to Faith and her brother, him saying all sorts of guff about how has to be brave. Everyone has to be brave. You've got to be brave. Brave, 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 brave. That kind of stuff. And then, of course, a volcano explodes, as it is wont to do in the films that we watch. So the volcano explodes, bird flies off with its nest. There is no courage fruit. It was all some nonsense that didn't matter. The wolves want to hunt the animals. There's cave people rescuing them and fighting the wolves. It goes on forever. Humans and wolves get separated and trapped. They need to make a bridge, so they kind of try and cut down a tree. On the trapped little kind of cave island, rock island, is one of the cave people and the cave girl. He literally punches pumice out of the sky that's hurtling towards them. And that shows that he is impressive. And the cave girl, who is very fickle, switches her affections to him. And then we get a sort of something that reminded me of Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. So Fei heroically sacrifices herself to knock the king wolf off the cliff edge and falls to her death. And everyone is incredibly sad about this annoying little cub that they've known for 5 minutes. And then she appears hanging on the edge of the cliff and is fine.
You say that as if you wouldn't be sad about the cub that gone over. I almost cried.
Really?
Yeah.
That's lame.
I mean,
that is so lame.
I knew she was going to come back because can't do that, right? But I was worried.
Yeah. No, I wasn't worried. But if I'd been there, I'd have booted her off myself because she was irritating. Yeah. Not a fan. And then the magic butterflies reappear. Fei-Fei's left with the cave people. We're meant to kind of surmise that she's the first domesticated dog wolf thing. And everyone goes back to the present. And it lasts an hour and a half. Maybe 20 seconds of that makes any kind of sense. And yeah, that is the Boonie Bears blast into the past.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
It was really boring.
I had this one on
really long.
For the first time ever, I had this on 1.75 times speed.
I had it on 1.25 and I forgot that I even had it up. It was still slow paced at 1.25.
Yeah, totally. I went from 1.25 to 1.5 and then I thought, fuck it, 1.75. It's just too slow.
But I can see little kids liking it because of the cute animals, and there's a lot of like slapstick comedy and bathroom comedy, and yeah.
As Josh said, the animation was actually quite lovely. There's some really nice animation in there. It's just if they spent maybe 1% of the animation budget on some writers, then that would have made it much, much better.
Yeah.
Something that I wish I had kept track of was the amount of gratuitous slow motion shots. This movie is just obsessed with slow motion, but also kind of like Matrix bullet time, where everything kind of freezes and the camera rotates around things. But like it's like doing that for things that are not moving fast in the first place. Yeah. There's some scenes where it's just two characters walking through the forest having a conversation, and they're frozen in time while the camera rotates around them, and their disembodied voices are talking over the scene.
And also flashbacks. I mean, not just to things that we haven't seen before in the character's past, but flashbacks to earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
Like there's at least 2 or 3 where we see stuff that's already happened, and we're like, yeah, we know. We literally just watched that. You don't need to remind us.
I would say it's a way of making it a feature length, but saving money by reusing the clips, right?
Yeah. Though, I mean, it seems like, they could have done a few less Matrix-style shots and then actually just had some normal animation.
Well, also, if 10 movies have netted you $1 billion, maybe you don't have to skip on that. Like, maybe you could do something new.
Yeah. Why not just retire? Retire on a high.
Yeah.
With your creativity still there.
I feel like they saw this, like, it's almost like the romance movie books or whatever. Like they noticed this script of kids' movies that seems to be popular, and they're just following that, right?
Yeah, just like kind of Mad Libs with other films' plots. So, like you say, you've got Shrek in there, you've got Indiana Jones, you've got Ice Age.
Mm-hmm.
Let's mash them all together and see what sticks.
But I mean, Ice Age, it was like almost exactly with the wolf wanting to be vegetarian.
Yeah.
It's the same as Diego wanting to be vegetarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And becoming friends with the cave people. And there's even the bit where in Ice Age, the trap is they're going to lead them through a valley and ambush them.
Yeah.
And they use exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that's different is that it's wolves instead of saber-tooths.
It's like the wolves had watched Ice Age. I was like, this is what we do.
I mean, it kind of definitely sort of showed you that copyright law just does not apply in China. That's why Temu and Shine are able to operate. It's because whatever, we'll do it cheaper
and tiny
and lower quality, and you will like it. I mean, even the saber-tooths that they had in this looked like Diego from Ice Age.
Yeah,
like down to the coloring and the kind of caricature effect they had.
Yeah, and the personalities of the wolves were kind of the same, right? Like the
exactly.
goofy
There was one
who kind of
really
turns at the end.
one.
Yeah. And then even there with the bears, so like you have the smart, brave one, which is Manny, and then you have the clumsy, stupid one, which is Bramble, right? Or Sloth, sorry, is the Sid.
Yeah, Sid. Yeah.
I mean, like we're dragging them, but they've obviously figured it out. Little kids are eating it up, probably buying all the merchandise. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of us would defend with our lives The Land Before Time as a great film, despite the fact that there are like 9 sequels of diminishing quality after it.
Yeah, I think I've only seen the first one.
That's the only one that you need to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm even talking about tomorrow. I'm giving a talk at SFU on like research design and like my research career and how I became an archaeologist and stuff. And the second slide is Land Before Time because
yay!
That's where it started.
There'll not be a dry eye in the house.
Do we want to go through the animals in this movie and assess how good the reconstructions are?
I mean,
yeah, we can do that. So obviously the
turtles
they're not saber-tooth
were
tigers.
terrible.
Yes, turtles. The ruby turtles were terrible. They just,
was that a reference to something? Is that one thing I'm wondering is like how much of this is Chinese stuff that we don't know culturally? Like butterfly time
possible.
Travel, ruby turtles.
Yeah. Yes, that's possible.
It also reminded me of the Croods, right? Because they have all those made up animals.
Oh yeah,
especially
the terror bird that was sort of rainbow colored,
and the pigs having tusks that curve in 2 directions. That's a Croods kind of thing as well. They go on weird angles. But yeah, so the saber-tooths are clearly Smilodon, so they're dirk-tooth cats. Smilodon is New World cat, so North and South America. So obviously biogeographically this makes no sense because you have Smilodon with mammoths, with Eurasian Megaloceros, with terror birds, which are a South American group. So biogeographically this is just nonsense. It's not as bad as Ice Age, which is terrible in terms of both geography and chronology of the animals they choose. I think the only kind of out of place animals they have are the terror birds and the sort of 50-foot long tortoises. Those are not something. But everything else, yeah, why not? The kind of bovids look kind of more like aurochs than bison. Again, sort of Eurasian. The wild boars don't really look like wild boars, but they are pig-like. So that's fine. The saber-tooths, the Smilodon, they have long tails, which is not great because all the late surviving saber-tooth genera have short tails. Homotherium and Smilodon have short tails like a bobcat. The mammoths were pretty good. I thought they were quite nice. Again, they did look a lot like the Ice Age mammoths, so like Manny, same kind of cartoonish style. The wolves, yeah, they were pretty good. Again, looked like the Ice Age ones. The terror bird, I mean, it looked okay. Terror birds didn't have teeth, and this terror bird did have teeth, as did the flying ones. And this terror bird could fly, so it looked like a terror bird. Of course, Ray could, but it could fly. Terror birds are flightless. They're scary enough. They just are, 8 foot off dinosaur. They don't need to fly.
But they didn't have beaks, right? Did they have beaks? Or what if they didn't have teeth?
Yeah, so terror birds had huge, like eagle-like beaks, so very deep, hooked, things for ripping apart tiny horses.
And the one in the cartoon, I don't remember, did it have teeth and a beak or just teeth?
Yeah, it did have teeth and a beak.
Right.
And functional wings, which were tiny, and aerodynamically it would not have been able to fly. But, it's also a cartoon. It's a bit like the bird from Up as well. That's another... There was some Up kind of allusions in... There was lots of plateaus like in Up, and there was the kind of crazy bird that was the same kind of colors as Up. But yeah, I mean, I feel like they missed a trick. They used sort of well-known, typically American and Eurasian extinct animals to show that they were in the past. There's some really cool East Asian animals they could have used. Like instead of Megaloceros, they could have used Eucladaceros, which is an Asian genus. The bush-antlered deer, that would be pretty cool. It doesn't get an awful lot of animation. It has really crazy, many-tined antlers that kind of like
cool. Yeah.
Stick out all over the place. Yeah, they could have had Homotherium, which was around in East Asia. Again, the timeline doesn't make sense. 30,000 years ago, where are they? Are they supposed to be in China?
Well, Boonie Bears are set in northern China. The whole concept with the show is that in the original series, this human character, Vic, who I think has a different Chinese name in... obviously, they all have different Chinese names. We watched the English dub, obviously. In the first few series, he is the villain, and he is a logger.
He looks like a villain.
Yeah, he does look like a villain.
I was wondering why he was making those comments like pro-logging. And I was like, why is this pro-logging this show?
Yeah.
It's weird. Anyway, sorry.
Mm-hmm. I think it's anti-logging because he's the villain because the Boonie Bears are Asian black bears, which are sort of vulnerable, threatened. Right. And it's because of deforestation. So he is the villain in the original series. He's cutting down their forest. And that at a certain point, after a few seasons, they sort of win him over and he becomes one of the protagonists alongside them. So that's
enemies to lovers.
Backstory that we would need. Yeah, exactly.
But he's drawn very much like a villain. He's got a mustache.
Yeah,
classic
like
villain.
The thin mustache too.
He's short. Classic villain. He's got a big head.
Have we mentioned yet that there are dinosaur skeletons in this movie? There's no dinosaurs, but at the human camp there is what looks like a Tyrannosaurus skeleton articulated, sitting in the middle.
They walk over
one. We see a few
too.
other dinosaur skeletons later.
Yeah, they walk over something. Yeah.
Is this just because this is in the nebulous past? I mean, at least they don't have living dinosaurs except for the avian ones. But is it just, we know that the dinosaurs were dead, so there must be a bunch of dinosaur skeletons lying around because the dinosaurs died before the Ice Age. The dinosaurs died, then you have the Ice Age, then you have the present day. I think that's what it is, right? Without
realizing that there's, 60 million is a lot different than 30,000.
It's just in the box called the past.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not now, it's the past. It's in the past with Elvis and, riding horses, dinosaurs. That's it. But yeah, very boring film.
I know. I was kind of looking forward to it.
Wandering around.
I like cartoons. I like bears. I thought it was going to be good.
Who doesn't like bears?
Yeah.
Well, Ross, I was wondering what you know about bear genetics, because I was looking up the Wikipedia page for these Asian black bears, and that got me onto the page for the sun bear, and that one has a couple of bear cladograms or phylogenetic trees there's one based on mitochondrial DNA and one based on a more recent one from Kumar et al. Based on, it just says a genetic study. But the older one has the Asian black bear forming a clade with the American black bear, but then the newer one has the American black bear forming a clade with the polar bear and brown bear, and then the Asian bears form their own clade.
Yeah. It's tricky in bears because there is an awful lot of difference between their mitochondrial signature and their nuclear signature. So, I mean, this is clearest in the brown bears, where you have mitochondrially polar bears grouped within the brown bear lineage. So, what that means is that in the kind of brown bear family tree, there's more difference in the mitochondria of bears from France and brown bears from France and brown bears from America than there is between polar bears and any brown bears. And that's because in the past there's been hybridization events, and we know that those still happen today. We were talking about growler bears and Pisleys fairly recently. So that definitely happened in the past as well. And what that means is that at some point, polar bears and brown bears interbred, and polar bears ended up with a brown bear mitochondrial signature. So the nuclear genome tends to give a better, more robust tree, but there has been a lot of hybridization, which does kind of mess things up a little bit. So I think that if you're looking at the cladograms and the phylogenies on the sun bear Wikipedia page, then the lower one, the one that's based on nuclear DNA, makes a lot of sense. So yeah, basically you have the giant panda, then you've got the spectacled bear, which is its own branch, the Tremarctidae, which it's only the South American spectacled bear that's left, but in the Pleistocene there was the short-faced bear and several species of that. And yeah, over here you've got polar bear and brown bear as sisters, and American black bear is the kind of outlier of that trichotomy. But yeah, I mean, with this hybridization is something we see in other bears as well. So the cave bear, the extinct Pleistocene Eurasian cave bear, that shows evidence of a introgression with brown bears at some point in the past. So fossil cave bears have some brown bear DNA in them. I think we also see it with the spectacled bears as well. So the short-faced bear, I think there's some suggestion that they have hybridized with other members of the Tremarctidae as well. So I think that hybridization is something that is very common in mammals. We see it in our own lineage. We see it in the bears. We definitely see it in the felids as well. So yeah.
I think it's interesting in these bear phylogenies here, the genus names of these bears, because we've got Ursus, which is the American black bear and the Asian black bear and polar bear and brown bear. Mm-hmm. But then the sloth bear and the sun bear have their own genus names, Melursus and Helarctos, and it's kind of funny looking at these phylogenetic trees where you've got sort of a clade of Ursus, but you've got these two other genera. Yeah. Sort of emerging out of this clade.
Totally. And that's something you'll find all across particularly the mammals. Because you have to remember that almost all of these genera were put together like hundreds of years ago based just on vibes, essentially, by it's embarrassing. His name just escapes me.
Linnaeus?
Linnaeus, that's who I'm going for. I mean, I shouldn't be forgetting that. But yeah, Linnaeus, based on vibes, made many of these genera. And then later on, people have only been able to work with skeletal morphology, which we know is very variable amongst lineages. Some groups go through very quick changes in their morphology. Some are very conservative. And so, yeah, I mean, it depends whether you take genetics as the final word. And as someone with a background in genetics, I would be careful about doing that. But certainly some people think, oh, well, if the DNA says it, then it must be true. I mean, that's not really how it works. You've got to take a kind of total evidence approach. But sure, yeah, it might be that you want to just say, okay, well, Melursus and Helarctos, they're not really a thing. Let's put everything into Ursus. Or you might want to say, actually, the Asian black bear, that should group with sloth bear and sun bear. Let's make a whole new genus for that, or let's find out which one has priority. Probably, yeah, Helarctos, I would guess, and then just make them all Helarctos. So, like you say, it's got layers. It's like an onion or an ogre. It depends how you want to look at it.
So, red pandas, they're closer to cats, right?
Yeah, red pandas, I think, are kind of close to the Procyonidae, the raccoons and
right,
and other kind of like civets and weasels and that kind of thing. But certainly that's on the cat side of the carnivore tree. So the carnivore tree has the caniforms and the feliforms. So the caniforms are the dogs, wolves, bears, cetaceans as well. And the feliforms are the hyenas, the cats, and some other things too. So
I would have switched. I would have put bears with cats and hyenas with dogs.
yeah, no, hyenas are actually fairly closely related to cats.
But we mentioned pandas in our last episode because we were talking about elephants and mammoths and how mammoths are just a type of elephant embedded in the mammoth, or mammoths are just a type of elephant embedded in the elephant family tree. And we're looking at pandas and bears on this episode. And so pandas are in the Ursidae family, but red pandas, what we're saying, are not actually bears at all. They are more closely related to raccoons. They're just coincidentally, they have a similar sort of face pattern, but other than that, they're not bears at all.
They're super cute.
I'm actually looking at the red panda page right now and saying that I may have been wrong. I think maybe red pandas are part of the caniforms, but they are kind of more closely related to, their raccoons are part of the caniforms as well. So I was wrong there. But they have their own family, Aeluridae, which means cats. So
that's confusing.
They're So Aeluridae, I think, comes from the Greek Aelurus, which is cat. So they're the kind of cat family, is what the red panda belongs to.
They're the cat family of the dogs.
Yes, on the dog side. So it kind of nestled between the seals and the weasels, essentially.
Cute. What movie did we watch that we were talking about elephants last time?
It was not last time. It was 2 episodes ago. This last one I edited, which was Korg 70,000 BC. There was an African elephant in the intro credits, but not actually in the episode itself.
Did I miss that one?
No, you watched it. It was the live-action Hanna-Barbera.
The one, it was quite good.
Korg?
The boring one where nothing happened.
I mean, yeah. Gonna need more than that.
It's gone. It was never really there, let's be honest.
It was 2 episodes ago.
Lots happened since then.
Yeah. I was super burnt out before Christmas, too.
Yeah, I'm sure lots of people were. So I'm just looking at the feliforms again. So feliforms are the palm civets, the viverids, the mongooses, the fusa and its family, the hyenids, the linsangs, and the felids. So, yeah.
Fusas are the ones from Madagascar, the movie, right?
That's right, yeah. Technically, they're called the Eupleridae.
Right.
So there's the fusa or fossa, depending how you pronounce it. The Phalanook, the Boki. What else? They've got great names. Phalanook, Malagase civet, the Bontsira, the Grandidier's mongoose.
Another problem with the animals in this movie is the scale, because some things are so huge that it doesn't make any sense. Like you have this giant panda, and this black bear is up to the knee on this giant panda, but the baby pandas
are so tiny.
They can fit in the palm of his hand, right? So
they're almost like marsupials, just tiny little pouches.
Yeah. That actually reminded me of Jurassic Park with the
compies.
The guy was getting eaten when they're I was like, this is Jurassic Park now. Yeah.
And the giant panda was a giant panda, and it was the guardian of the forest, and it sneezed and a ginger plant blossomed. I mean, that must have some kind of relevance in kind of East Asian culture that we're just not aware of.
Yeah.
Anything that isn't stolen from an American movie
stolen from folklore.
Probably some cultural thing that makes no sense to us. And the terror bird itself is larger than a Tyrannosaurus somehow. They come up to its knees when they find its nest. The eggs, like the bears could fit inside one of those eggs pretty easily. It's like you said, a real terror bird was about 8 feet tall, and this one's about 20
80
feet tall, if not more. Yeah.
And also its eggs are much larger than any dinosaur egg. Like dinosaur eggs aren't huge. Like the whole thing with dinosaurs is they start off quite small and then grow fast for a long amount of time. So yeah, but bigger is cooler, I guess, especially if they've got spots on them.
But you know what? Good job to this movie for not putting dinosaurs in. Like,
yes.
All things considered, they've put in an avian bird.
Yeah.
That's from South America, not from the right part of the world. But like you said, better than Ice Age, so better than the Crudes.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't forgive Ice Age for having dodos in what's supposed to be North America. I mean, that was unforgivable. And I don't think this film does anything as bad as that.
Or the Megacerops in Ice Age, which is from like 30 million years ago. The
Brontops, the Brontothere, I think.
Yeah, I can never. There's I always call it Brontotherium, but that's an outdated name, I believe.
So yeah, Brontops. I think the names have gone through a whole bunch of revisions. So maybe Megacerops is the right name now. But yeah, more famously known as Brontops, part of the Brontotheria, and again, much older than most of the mammoth things. So they're Eocene. That's 35 million years ago, whereas the mammoths and the sloths are 50,000 years ago. So. But at least they would have been found in North America. There's lots of Brontothere fossils in North America, so at least they're in the right place, if not the right time. Whereas the dodos...
At least Ice Age was entertaining, though.
At least. And the dodos are from an island half the world away in the Indian Ocean. But again, it falls into the same kind of trap that Ice Age just, these things are extinct. That's their classification, so we can put them all together, that's fine. And they've kind of done that here as well in the Boonie Bears. It's these things are in the past. The past is just one box. We can just all have them together, and that's fine. No one's gonna care, particularly not three nerds on a podcast.
No one's even gonna notice.
Yeah,
we have prominently featured in this movie cave paintings, which we like to talk about. In this one, at the beginning, the cave paintings, logger Vic is doing some sort of scam, I guess. He's teaching tourists about these cave paintings, and they get the idea that they must be fake because they have bicycles and they have an ancient hot pot. But he says that a professional told me that they were real. So I'm imagining the scenario where a real archaeologist told him that these were real cave paintings, and then he's like, okay, bye. And then he's like, all right, nobody is doing anything with this cave, so I'm going to invite tourists into the forest in northern China and give them a tour about these genuine cave paintings that I know nothing about.
But what I thought the end was going to be was that I thought they were going to make a bike and ride it, and it was going to be cave paintings depicting what they had done in the past.
Which it was a bit, because there's the hot pot that's very prominent in there, which is a circle with a line through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the bicycles would appear at some point, and they don't.
I didn't notice.
They did.
Them. No.
They did.
Did they? Oh.
It was about 5 frames during the montage where they were dancing to the iPod music. They were riding on bamboo bicycles. It's literally one shot.
Okay.
Just to make sure it connected to the cave painting.
They set that up so much at the beginning, they could have just emphasized it a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, what's interesting is that it's actually real cave paintings. So they weren't a scam. They were for real. They just looked like a scam because they went back in time and showed these people how to make bamboo bikes.
And they've like we've said, they've stolen from all these other movies without really understanding how to formulate them into a real plot, because we've seen the same thing before. This was in Timeline, where the archaeologists found their own professor's glasses. Yeah. And then that's really well integrated into the plot. This is just sort of they just happen to be showing these paintings for no reason because they're not archaeologists. They go back in time, they do a bunch of stuff, the people paint the stuff on the wall, and then they come back to the future, and now we know why the paintings were there, but none of that is really relevant to the plot. Mm-hmm. In Timeline, that's why they went back in time. In this one, it's just kind of a coincidence, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of things that just aren't explained, or we're not savvy to the kind of reasoning behind. Maybe it's all explained in the Boonie Bears series 2, who knows?
We'll have to watch 900 episodes of the show and 11 other movies to figure out.
Oh, God.
The other thing about the cave art is I don't know, the thing about paleoanthropology in China is that up until like the 1980s, they were like totally closed off from the rest of the world. So there was no real communication. We didn't really know what was going on in China. And now today we're doing a lot of collaboration and putting that all back together. But it means that I think a lot of people have a pretty big blind spot in China. So I had no idea what kind of cave art we have in China. And I was looking it up, and we just have very recently some cave paintings that they dated to the oldest being like 13,000 years old. So in fact, there isn't a lot of, the European stuff is as old as, 30,000 years. And the oldest cave paintings I think we have are in Borneo, which was like 50,000 years ago, recently identified.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, in China, we don't really get cave paintings until much later.
And I'm sure that's partly a function, I guess, of geology, that there's just maybe there aren't the kind of caves with preservation potential that there is in Western Europe. Not that they wouldn't have been making art, it's just that it hasn't survived.
And the other thing to consider when we're talking about cave art is that even if they weren't making cave art on cave walls, that doesn't mean they weren't making art, because you can be making art on wood or tree bark or leather. There's a whole bunch of things you can make art on.
Or conceptual art as well, unmade beds.
Body painting. Oh, yeah, that too. I don't know what else we can get out of this movie.
Well, we can talk about more archaeology in China because, the oldest modern humans we have in China, we've got some good sites dating to around 30,000 years, which is the time they give. So like, for early modern humans in China, that's a good timeline, other than the connection with cave art. There is some really, really old sites for anatomically modern humans. Like, I think the oldest is about 120,000, but it seems sort of inconsistent before that. So it seems like maybe that's like a really early sort of branching out of modern humans that maybe doesn't really take hold. And then after, that upper Paleolithic wave of expansion where we get, people moving into Europe 40,000 years ago, moving across Asia to Australia as early as 50 or 60,000 years. So, having a few sites in China 30-ish thousand years is probably consistent with that, upper Paleolithic expansion out of Africa.
But it seems to be that what's more interesting is the older stuff that comes out. So the Homo longi has been in the news quite a bit recently, Dragon Man, as the kind of first complete skull of a Denisovan. That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't know if we've mentioned that on this podcast.
I don't think we have.
That's pretty big news. So the Homo longi skull, or the Dragon Man skull, it was a skull that was recently discovered, but it had been originally discovered in the 1930s. And the guy who found it hid it in a well to save it from, because this was a Japanese occupation at the time, so he knew it was going to be removed from China, so he hid it in a well. And I believe it was like on his deathbed just a few years ago that he revealed its location. Is that the story?
That's what I heard as well. That it was either deathbed, or he told his son, and his son got it out.
And so they've excavated the skull. They named it a new species, Homo longi. The skull itself looks very similar to another skull that we found, I think, in the 70s, called the Dali cranium from Dali, China. Just like looking at them, even if you have very little experience with skulls, they look very, very similar. And so Dali, for a very long time, was considered Homo erectus, like a late surviving Homo erectus, because it looks very unlike other Homo erectus. But more recently, we've been reclassifying that. And so like we had this, wastebasket taxon of late surviving Homo erectus in China and East Asia, where all kinds of stuff that was, very sort of derived was lumped into Homo erectus. And now they reclassified that. They say, okay, Dali belongs with Harbin, and they've named it Homo longi. So now Dali is Homo longi. And now they've got the DNA from Harbin, Harbin is the Homo longi skull, the Dragon Man skull. It's sometimes frustrating that things have like 3 different names.
It's like reading Russian literature. All is very confusing.
But the DNA matches the Denisovan DNA that we have from several others. And so up until this point, Denisovans were only known from DNA. We didn't know what they looked like, but now we've got Harbin, Dragon Man, the face of Denisovans. So that means Denisovans also get the species name. That means Dolly has always been a Denisovan all along, probably, and we never realized it. So we're really putting stuff together in the Chinese paleoanthropology these days.
Which is great because, it's cool to have DNA from an extinct relative, but it's much better to know what they look like.
Yeah.
Well, that's been the problem with Denisova all along, is that they extracted DNA from a bone they thought was a Neanderthal, and they discovered it was DNA from something we'd never identified. Mm-hmm. But we had only ever identified DNA from modern humans and Neanderthals, so we have all these other specimens which we know what they look like, but we have no idea what their DNA is. And so it really has been the case all along that we were eventually going to find out a whole bunch of other stuff is Denisova. And somehow everybody sort of overlooked that, and they're like, oh, we have to find specimens of Denisova because we've never found specimens of Denisova. But of course, the reality is, we have, but we just didn't know they were Denisovan because we never got DNA from them, right?
Yeah. And the very cool thing also about it is Denisova is that we also found evidence that there was interbreeding between Neanderthals and Denisovan and modern humans and Denisovan. So I think people in in Indo-Pacific region have a higher percentage of Denisovan DNA than European people who have a higher percentage of Neanderthal DNA.
Yeah.
So it's not just that we identified the DNA of this past species, but we actually found another species that we were interbreeding with.
Yeah.
And we've found a first generation hybrid of a Neanderthal and Denisovan at Denisova Cave from just it's one of these fragments of bone that they tested for DNA because it was a fragment and you couldn't really identify it otherwise. And Ross, maybe you can speak to this, but the way I understand that they knew it was a first generation hybrid, like its father was a Denisovan and its mother was a Neanderthal, or vice versa. I can never remember which it is. But it has basically 50% Neanderthal DNA and 50% Denisova DNA, but also that DNA is not mixed up. It's in very long contiguous segments.
Yeah.
And that's how they can tell it was a first generation, because if it had been a population that had been mixing for a long time, those DNA would have got chopped up through recombination during meiosis, right?
That's it. That's how they did it. So I think they looked at what are called ROHs, runs of homozygosity, and that those are the bits that get chopped up during meiosis. So if they find sort of long stretches of that suggests that it's not been mixed up very much. So it must be a first generation.
Really interesting what we can do. Like the idea of like looking for that kind of signature is, I remember when I first heard about that, I was like, well, how would they know if it was a first generation and not just a mixed population? And then they explained it like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
The other thing about that individual was that it was almost 50-50, but it had, I think, slightly more Neanderthal DNA that was like slightly chopped up. So that means that the Denisova ancestor, the Denisova parent, had a distant Neanderthal ancestor too. So basically the fact that we can find a first generation hybrid and that there was hybridization in that individual's ancestry as well shows us that hybridization was like really common, because if there's a tiny fraction of fossils that will actually fossilize and one of them happens to be a hybrid, just statistically, that means that must have been happening a lot more commonly than we were thinking, right?
Yeah. And I think there's also, it's been found in kind of early modern Europeans as well. So there's a skull from a Romanian site whose name, again, it slipped my mind.
Oase?
Yes, Passeric Oase. That's not first generation, but certainly within like 3 or 4 generation back, there was a hybridization with a Neanderthal. So yeah, it just shows how kind of promiscuous humans are. We're not picky.
There's several of those early modern humans in Europe with Neanderthal ancestry. Another cave in Bulgaria is Bachokiro, where there's, I think, several individuals with Neanderthal great-grandparents or something like that.
Cool.
Well, what is our final assessment of Boonie Bears Blast into the Past?
It's just a money grab.
Yeah.
What kids will like it. It's just one of those brainless movies. Like, I'm sure my parents had to sit through many of them from the 80s.
Totally. It's one that I can see, like, kids would watch it and then it'd become their favorite and they'd watch it a million times and then they'd grow up a bit and realize this is absolute horseshit.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch Jurassic Park or Encino Man instead.
Better than that mammoth cartoon that we watched, the milk mammoths or whatever. The mammoths that were pushing the milk agenda. Yeah, the mastodons, yeah.
Well, this one's not an advertisement.
I mean, you say that, but certainly the music pod that got a lot of prominent placement. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Apple. It might have been Huawei.
Yeah, that's true.
They're really obsessed with Hot Pot too, but I don't know if there's any product associated with that. Seems like that's just a common dish. Maybe there was a manufacturer of Hot Pot pots that supported it. Do you have questions, comments, or movie requests? We want to hear from you. Find us on Blue Sky and Facebook at SOTSA Podcast. Send us an email to screensofthestoneage@gmail.com or visit our website at screensofthestoneage.com.
This has been a presentation of the Archaeology Podcast Network. Visit us on the web for show notes and other podcasts at www.archpodnet.com. Contact us at chris@archaeologypodcastnetwork.com.